Welcome to NTD.
Good morning. Here are today's top stories. Millions of people in cities across the nation packed the streets to watch Thanksgiving parades. Spectators shared what brought them out this year.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were in Nantucket greeting firefighters during Thanksgiving, while President-elect Donald Trump celebrated at Mar-a-Lago with his family and businessman Elon Musk.
It's Black Friday and retailers are gearing up for a shopping frenzy. Will big discounts and bold deals draw inflation-weary shoppers in?
President Biden is urging President-elect Trump to reconsider imposing sanctions on Mexico and Canada. He says they would be counterproductive.
The Notre Cathedral is set to reopen after the devastating 2019 fire. Over 5 years, archaeologists and restorers have uncovered amazing details about its design. NTD's David Vives takes us to a Paris museum playing a key role in the restoration.
This is NTD Good Morning, live from our global headquarters in New York City. Here are Evelyn Lee and Kevin Hogan.
Welcome to NTD.
Welcome, everyone. Today is Friday, November 29th.
And our lead story this morning is President Biden's final Thanksgiving as Commander-in-Chief. Talk about a milestone.
Right, absolutely. He did share such a heartfelt message on X, basically expressing his gratitude.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, with that video when he met with the Coast Guard members and he acknowledged the American service members who paid the ultimate price.
Right, and saying that Americans, though, are blessed to live in, he called it literally the greatest country in the world, and that Americans keep the faith in America. Yeah,
that's right. And he also called service members around the world, including the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Space, and Air Forces. And also, we have some fresh sound for you when President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden greeted firefighters at the Nantucket Fire Department yesterday. The president explained what he's thankful for on Thanksgiving.
I'm thankful for a peaceful transition in the presidency, and I'm thankful for the fact that I think with the grace of God and good little neighbors, with a little luck, we're going to get some more progress in the Middle East. And I'm really thankful for being able to get the first peace done on Lebanon. There's a lot to be thankful for.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff visited the Central Kitchen in Washington, D.C. The website for D.C. Central Kitchen says its mission is to use food as a tool to empower people and build communities.
Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump celebrated Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago yesterday alongside Melania and Barron Trump.
This year, billionaire Elon Musk and actor Sylvester Stallone were there as well.
And moving on, U.S. troops in South Korea marked Thanksgiving with a festive meal featuring roast turkey and classic sides. But troops were also treated to a taste of local cuisine, blending tradition with a nod to their host country's flavors.
Today we're having our Thanksgiving meal, and so we have prepared U.S. traditional food, Thanksgiving meal, so turkey, prime rib, chicken, and the fixings like macaroni and cheese and stuffing. But because we're also stationed in the Republic of Korea, we also have some Korean traditional foods, kimchi, radish kimchi, those types of things. And so it's really interesting to eat both the U.S. traditional Thanksgiving food and then the food of our host country.
I liked the turkey today. I definitely miss my grandma's, but this is still pretty good turkey, so I'll take it.
Roughly 28,500 U.S. troops are stationed in South Korea as a legacy of the Korean War, which ended in 1953.
And as for troops stationed stateside, the U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force trainees at Joint Base San Antonio celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday. The leaders from the 37th Training Wing said they wanted to help the newest members of America's fighting force feel connected to their new home away from home.
And Philadelphia celebrated a cherished tradition Thursday with the 105th annual Thanksgiving Day Parade, the nation's oldest.
NTD's Daniel Monahan has the highlights.
Thousands lined the streets of Center City. They cheered as more than 20 vibrant floats and over a dozen giant balloons made their way up the Ben Franklin Parkway to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It took about 19,000 cubic feet of helium to fill the balloons. The rain couldn't dampen visitors' spirits.
It's a little wet, it's a little cold, but we come here every year, so we had to keep the tradition going.
You can see the weather's not the best, but like everybody's still out here having a good time. Nobody really cares who's doing what or who's who. They're just here enjoying it. And we're going through it together.
It just seems like everybody's so happy on parade day. Even people who are like sitting in the rain, everyone's happy, everyone's supportive of all the acts and the high schools and the bands that come.
I told people to come on out. It's not raining out here. Let's go, people. Get out of that bed and come to the parade. Support us. Wake up, Philadelphia. It's Turkey Day.
An aunt and her niece discuss their favorite attractions at the parade.
I don't know, probably the one with the Abbott Elementary teacher.
Why?
Because I like her.
I like Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the balloon. So yeah, he's my favorite.
And the meaning of Thanksgiving.
Spending time with family and being thankful for all the people in my life.
Same tradition and just being very grateful for our many blessings and enjoying life.
A father and daughter also talk about the meaning of Thanksgiving.
Family and being able to be with the people I love this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same. Spending time with the family and people you love.
As does a young mom.
I feel thankful for most things. For my family, for being able to be here, for the parade.
Young Milena was very impressed with the parade.
I like it a lot. Yeah, it's good.
This Ukrainian couple reflect on Thanksgiving.
To pause my life and think of all the little things are there. We always rushing, want more, we want something better, but this is the day I pause and look back and see all the things I've achieved, all the things I have, and just be thankful for them.
Appreciating all the small things you have in life, appreciating the people you are with, and appreciating all the good stuff you have.
Parade highlights included dazzling performances from Darlene Love, the Sugar Hill Gang, and Matteo Bocelli, alongside appearances by stars like Carson Kressley and Lisa Ann Walter. Despite the rain, 3,000 dedicated performers delivered a show-stopping spectacle. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And of course, Thanksgiving Day can't be without the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in the Big Apple. And despite rain and chilly temperatures, millions came out to watch the annual celebration. NTD was there.
98th edition of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, featuring dozens of floats, balloons, marching bands, and performance groups. This marching band from East Tennessee State University made it to the parade despite challenges from Hurricane Helene.
We are going to be selecting a selection that includes the opener of our halftime show from this year, which is an arrangement of the famous tune "Happy Together." You know, just trying to bring some joy on a pretty visually dreary day, but you know, spirits still seem really high.
And this group with the Indigenous Enterprise performed Native American cultural dances.
When we're dressing up, we are actually dancing and representing different dance styles that originated in different parts of the United States and through our different cultures. And so I'm representing a woman's jingle dress style, and he's dancing men's fancy style, and she's doing a woman's fancy shawl.
Some audience members camped out early for the parade despite the rain.
How long have you guys been waiting here for today?
Since 6:30 in the morning.
6:30.
And it was worth it.
It was worth it, even in the rain?
Even in the rain.
We were so happy to wake up at 6 a.m.
It was worth it, even with the rain?
Oh, absolutely.
How early did you get here this morning?
We got here, I think it was like 4:30, 4:45 this morning. We got here very, very early.
The parade drew an estimated 3.5 million spectators in person, plus 30 million TV viewers.
A group of pro-Palestinian demonstrators briefly halted the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade before the NYPD swooped in to clear the route in Manhattan. A line of about 20 protesters sat in the street under a steady rain while others behind them held up a banner saying, "Don't celebrate genocide" and "Arms embargo now." The New York Police Department said the demonstrators were taken into custody without incident.
Post-Thanksgiving travel looks storm-free, but it's not without issues.
Rain, snow, or wind could still cause delays in some areas.
Today's trouble spots include lake effect snow in the Great Lakes. Expect travel problems on parts of I-90 and I-81 in New York. Brisk cold winds will chill the Midwest while Florida sees showers. Tomorrow, snow continues in the Great Lakes and Central Plains. Light snow could slow travel in Kansas City or St. Louis airports.
Sunday, heavy snow persists in snowbelt areas, causing road troubles. Most of the nation, though, stays dry and travel-friendly. A messy Thanksgiving storm brought rain, snow, and difficult travel conditions to New Hampshire on Thanksgiving. Vermont also got heavy snow, and some of the season's first snowflakes fell in Maine as well yesterday.
Still to come, 4 Democratic lawmakers in Connecticut say they received bomb threats this Thanksgiving.
This after a group of President-elect Trump's cabinet and White House picks received similar threats. And President Biden is urging President-elect Trump to reconsider imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico. He says such tariffs would be counterproductive. More on that for you when we come back.
Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024, the Audion Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-433-6359 or go to audionhearing.com to get your pair of Audion hearing aids starting at just $189.
There's cultures that have been lost, but this culture hasn't been. The artist is showing us our sense of who we are, where we came from. You look at his hat. His hat is knitted probably by a man because the men traditionally knitted the hats. That hat tells you the story of who this person is, what his place in the culture is, the animals around him. Everything's all contained in the messages in the hat. And the tool that he's carrying over his shoulder. This is a centuries-old tool that has been able to rework the mountains. Those traditions are invaluable, and if we don't honor those traditions, then we're rootless. The artist is showing us the value of maintaining our culture and respecting our culture.
Welcome back. President Biden is hoping President-elect Trump will not go ahead and impose tariffs against Canada and Mexico.
Biden spoke with reporters yesterday in Nantucket, Massachusetts, where he voiced his concerns. Here are the details.
President Biden on Thursday cautioned against imposing tariffs against the United States' 2 neighbors.
This comes after President-elect Trump announced plans for a 25% tariff on all imported goods from Mexico and Canada. Trump blamed the two countries for the flow of fentanyl and illegal immigrants into the U.S. But Biden said the last thing the incoming administration needs to do is spoil its relationship with the two countries.
I hope he rethinks it. I think it's a counterproductive thing to do. We have an unusual situation in America. We're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and two allies, Mexico and Canada. And the last thing we need to do is begin to screw up those relationships.
On Wednesday, Trump wrote that Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to stop unauthorized migration across the border into the United States.
He raised the issue of migration on their southern border, our northern border, and the issue of fentanyl because those are two issues that he's concerned about. And that was the argument, let's say, for introducing the tariffs.
Sheinbaum confirmed that the most recent migrant caravan would be taken care of before it reaches the border. But whether that was a promise, a pledge, or a simple statement of reality remains unclear. And a Canadian government minister told media Thursday the new Trump administration needs to understand how much the U.S. depends on Canadian oil. Some analysts have warned tariffs on Canada could drive up oil prices in the U.S.
Now for an update on U.S.-Mexico relations surrounding President-elect Trump's planned tariffs over securing the border. Trump described the talk with Mexican President Sheinbaum as wonderful, and she called it excellent. She said the two countries will have a good relationship. She said there will be no tariff war and explained Mexico's comprehensive strategy for addressing migration. To delve into this, we invite Mike Leon, the Policy and Strategy Director at the Free and Equal Elections Foundation and the host of the Can We Please Talk podcast. Mike, thanks for coming on. Americans, many of them love guacamole made with Mexican avocados, but they don't like deadly fentanyl in their country. Is there any way that the United States and Mexico can work together to handle the border without the need for tariffs?
Hey, Kevin, good to see you first and foremost. Yeah, look, avocados from Mexico, right, is the refrain, if you've heard that famous commercial jingle, and that's where 90% of our avocado production comes in from. So, look, President Trump in his first administration, he obviously got rid of NAFTA, brought in USMCA with this Mexico-Canada agreement, which tackled a few different things that were different than NAFTA. And so he's worked with both of these countries before. He understands the issues at the border. There is fentanyl production in Mexico by the cartels that is brought in. And I think Claudia Sheinbaum's message is, and I know she's carrying over a policy that Andres Lopez Obrador had, which was abrazos no balazos, which is really around hugs, no bullets, right? Tackling the cartel at a lower level where you get these low-level folks to flip and give information about what is happening in terms of drug production, smuggling, and things like that. So she's going to carry over that policy, whether it's been effective or not in Mexico, we're going to see. They've done some different crackdowns recently to help stop with the production. There's been lower encounters at the border. And I think Trump is coming in knowing all of this information and saying, look, I want this to continue. And so in order to do that, I'm going to impose something, or at least put the threat of imposing something out there. So it shows these countries that he's coming in and wants to continue the decline that we're seeing right now in the numbers of people not only coming to the border, but also of the drug production coming in. Look, we could do a lot more, but I think this is a starting point. I think the former president and now president-elect knows that.
Yeah, and Sheinbaum was saying that she worked with the Biden administration to bring border crossings down about 75%. And it's not just those orchards that make avocados that would be hit hard if there were a tariff war that would go on. The Mexican economy minister says that there could be 400,000 American jobs that would be lost in that case, citing studies that talk about U.S. car makers that manufacture in Mexico. But going back to your point, what capabilities does Mexico have to reduce the amount of fentanyl coming into the United States, and are they using those capabilities to their maximum potential?
Yeah, and by the way, you made a great point about the American auto workers. Ford has huge plants out there in Mexico City, but what is Mexico doing on their side, right? Everyone has kind of analyzed over the last couple of administrations, has Mexico been able to tackle specifically what the cartel is doing in terms of smuggling? But the way to break up the cartel has been kind of, the way the process has been done by different Mexican presidents has been tackled differently. Lopez Obrador has really leaned on the military and not so much the local law enforcement aspect of it, at least the military to provide support, because a lot of the times the cartels infiltrate because they have family members that are local law enforcement. So they buy politicians and local law enforcement agents. So you're not getting the arrest and crackdowns. But I think the new administration, Claudia Sheinbaum's new administration, not only are they going to continue to enforce that policy, but there are other measures that they're taking with respect to searches on their side, with respect to working with some of these other countries. Honduras has had a low production of people that are coming now to the border, because remember, the Triangle nations, you go through Mexico, and through these stops within Mexico is how people are eventually coming to the border. So they've done a couple of different crackdowns in that direction, Kevin, to stem the flow of people coming in. But in terms of the drug production itself, they are trying to do crackdowns at these facilities, and they're trying to use more of the technological aspect. There are some cartels that are very, very vastly technologically capable in the way they're not only producing the drugs, but the way they're smuggling the drugs in, that is the biggest part. And I think it's up to the U.S. and former President Trump, if I could give him some advice on this, increase the technology capabilities of how at the legal ports of entry we're identifying the way these drugs are getting in, because the cartels are starting to get smarter and how they're smuggling this stuff in.
Very interesting, Mike. And keep in mind that Mexico is the United States' biggest trading partner. And it's not just avocados, it's tequila. You're talking about the entertainment industry as well being affected now. These tariffs were one of the first things that President-elect Trump did after the election. Of course, he made a lot of cabinet picks, but then he's really coming after this illegal drug trafficking. So, and 25% tariffs, that's major. So what does this say about the seriousness with which Trump is coming after this problem?
Yeah, I think I was telling Chris this one time. It's really about, we have to adapt to this new world, or at least revisit the world of Donald Trump announcing things on social media, and maybe they don't come to fruition, or at least they're blanket statements that he's putting out there publicly to drive public fear from those folks, versus internally he's saying, I'm going to do this differently, right, from a diplomatic perspective. So I think that's the first thing I would urge people, right? Like, if we get caught up in every time Donald Trump posts a tweet or posts a truth bomb on social media, we may be overanalyzing things. But I think within your question, Kevin, first off, he knows 25% tariffs would not only drive up costs for consumer goods here, like you mentioned, we talked about it already, avocados, tomatoes, 2/3 of tomatoes come from Mexico. There's so much production on the food industry from Mexico that would really impact American consumers. He knows that. He knows that he doesn't want to drive up the cost of goods here, but he also knows that he has to show some type of strength in coming and keeping with, hey, I want to do things differently from a policy perspective. But like I mentioned before, he knows the data is trending down. So how do I secure a win? But also, how do I also convey a public message that I'm going to do certain things when I get there to make sure that everybody falls in line? And I think the president-elect is dancing that delicate dance, and we have to remember that there are certain things that are already in place that he knows we're going to continue, but then there are certain things that he's always done from a public perspective in terms of messaging that we can't overanalyze it just yet, because he hasn't come into office just yet. But the threat is out there, and I think Canada and Mexico are very aware of that, but they also know a lot of lumber comes from Canada. Obviously, we talked about the grocery industry in Mexico. He knows that he can't impact these industries because it'll impact the American people.
Well, thanks for coming on and talking to us about this. Mike Leon, the Policy and Strategy Director at the Free and Equal Elections Foundation and the host of the Can We Please Talk podcast.
Thanks, Kevin.
Several Democratic lawmakers from Connecticut say they have received bomb threats.
Representatives Joe Courtney, Johanna Hayes, Jim Hines, and John Larson issued individual statements to say they were targeted yesterday.
Law enforcement looked into each threat and said there was no evidence of a bomb. Officials have previously said these threats often come from people overseas looking to draw attention.
It came roughly 24 hours after similar threats were made against some of President-elect Trump's cabinet and administration picks. The FBI said it's working with other law enforcement to investigate these threats.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday that intense war will follow if the terms of the ceasefire with Lebanon are violated. Both sides accused each other of breaching the agreement that aims to halt more than a year of fighting. The Israeli military said its Air Force struck a facility used by Hezbollah to store mid-range rockets in southern Lebanon yesterday. It also opened fire on what it called suspects, with vehicles arriving at several areas in the southern zone. It says that it was a breach of the truce with Hezbollah, which came into effect on Wednesday. The Lebanese army also accused Israel of violating the ceasefire several times on Wednesday and yesterday. The exchange of accusations highlighted the fragility of the ceasefire. The truce lasts for 60 days in the hope of reaching a permanent stop to the fighting.
Russia has dealt a devastating blow to Ukraine's infrastructure. A massive attack on energy sites has left more than 1 million Ukrainian homes in the dark. The combined missile and drone onslaught stretched well into the western part of Ukraine across some 14 regions. At least 5 people were injured. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the attack was payback, a response to Ukraine's use of American-made missiles on targets inside Russia. The attack comes as Ukraine braces for a third winter at war. U.S. President Joe Biden condemned Russia's attack, saying it serves as yet another reminder of the urgency of supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression.
The Australian government approved a social media ban yesterday for kids under 16.
After an emotional debate in Australia over the harm of social media for kids, the Australian government approved a social media ban yesterday for kids under 16.
This has set a benchmark as one of the world's toughest regulations targeting tech companies.
Those for the question say aye.
Social media will soon be banned for under 16-year-olds in Australia, after a new law sets a benchmark with one of the world's toughest regulations targeting big tech. It forces tech giants from Instagram and Facebook owner Meta to TikTok to stop minors from logging in or face fines of up to $32 million.
Platforms now have a social responsibility to ensure the safety of our kids is a priority for them.
A parliamentary inquiry this year heard evidence from parents of children who self-harm due to social media bullying. Ali Halkich is a father whose 17-year-old son took his own life in 2009 following social media bullying.
To be honest with you, I'm proud to be Australian today, and all the government and the politicians from both sides to unite on such a front.
16-year-old user Lamb acknowledges its potential harm, but says it is deeply ingrained in society and the law will force young people to more dangerous parts of the internet.
With such a clear-cut ban, I believe that it will only create a generation of young people who will be more technologically literate in bypassing these walls.
The ban also faced opposition from privacy advocates and some child rights groups.
I don't think it's a good thing, really, because I think that it's not going to stop it, and also the government's taking control of things that it's parents' responsibility. Because parents are going to keep still using their social media, aren't they? And their kids are going to be watching them doing it. So what's the point, really?
But 77% of the population wanted it, according to latest polls.
Social media for kids is not really appropriate. Sometimes they can, have a look something that they shouldn't.
Speaking on behalf of social media platforms, Australia's Digital Industry Group Managing Director Sunita Bose said the bill was rushed through Parliament.
In some ways, it's cart before horse because we have the bill, but we don't have guidance from the Australian government around what are the right methods that a whole host of services subject to this law will need to employ.
In submissions, Google and Meta said the ban should be delayed until an age verification trial finishes, expected in mid-2025. The ban, considered a political win for the Australian Prime Minister for now, will be watched as a test case as a growing number of governments look to implement similar legislation.
Up next, despite rainy skies, spirits stayed high at DC's annual Turkey Trot.
Thousands flooded the capital, bringing festivity to Pennsylvania Avenue. Stay with us.
Whispered across generations, a hidden secret unveils the essence of longevity and vitality, a timeless legend regarding energy and wonder. Rooted in ancient health wisdom, we proudly introduce Pure Tang Black Ginseng, a 100% natural, organic energy drink made from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng. It takes 2,260 days and nights from seed to growth, undergoing a meticulous 9-step process of steaming and drying. Black ginseng reaches its full potency, enriched with ginsenoside RG3 and enhanced absorption efficiency. No sugar, no caffeine, no artificial ingredients. Experience the pure, natural power of Pure Tang Black Ginseng. Nourish your body, strengthen your immunity, and boost your energy. To order Puretang Black Ginseng, please visit puretang.com.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want life insurance that fits their budget and is simple to get. Coverage options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase, guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums, guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free beneficiary planner. Both are free with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call now and you'll also get this free beneficiary planner. Use this valuable guide to record important information and your final wishes, and it's yours free just for calling. So don't wait. Call 1-800-357-4821 for your free information. That's 1-800-357-4821. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-357-4821. That's 1-800-357-4821. 1-800-357-4821. Call now.
Welcome back.
And if you're just now joining us, here are some of today's top stories. President Biden urged President-elect Trump to reconsider his proposed 25% tariff on goods from Mexico and Canada. Biden said these tariffs would be counterproductive. Trump said he plans to impose the tariffs unless the two neighboring countries do something to stop the flow of illegal immigrants and drugs into the U.S. Mexico's president said categorically there would be no tariff war with the United States.
Social media will soon be banned for kids under 16 years old in Australia after a new law set a benchmark as one of the world's toughest regulations targeting big tech. It forces tech giants from Instagram, Meta, and TikTok to stop minors from logging in or face fines of up to $32 million. Google and Meta said the ban should be delayed until an age verification trial finishes, expected in mid-2025.
U.S. troops in South Korea marked Thanksgiving with a festive meal featuring roast turkey and classic sides, as well as a taste of the local Korean cuisine. The U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force trainees at Joint Base San Antonio also celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday, enjoying some traditional dishes to help them feel more comfortable being away from home.
The 98th edition of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade featured dozens of floats, balloons, marching bands, and performance groups. New York residents and tourists from across the country alike waited from as early as 6:30 in the morning, braving rainy weather conditions to watch the parade. The parade drew an estimated 3.5 million spectators in person, plus 30 million TV viewers. And in Chicago, one of its most beloved holiday traditions has reached its 90th anniversary. Spectators packed the streets yesterday to catch a glimpse of Chicago's own Thanksgiving parade. NTD's Sherry Ning has the story from the Windy City.
For many Chicagoans, coming to see the Thanksgiving parade has become a beloved family tradition.
Been born and raised in Chicago, so we've been watching the turkey parade for a long, long time. Teddy the turkey is iconic, the belle of the ball for the Thanksgiving Day parade in Chicago. So we're honored to be able to escort it down State Street with 30 of our team members. We're so excited to be a part of it. It's really an honor, and we just couldn't be more excited to have this opportunity. We're really, really grateful, and I'm looking forward to eat some turkey after this.
while for others, the tradition is just beginning.
This is our first time coming with all four. I want it to be a tradition. I want it to be. This is a lot of fun. So it's better than being home and making a turkey.
Ranked second best Thanksgiving parade in the nation, the Chicago Thanksgiving Parade also provides an opportunity for people to come together to tell the stories, especially about the many rich cultures and groups that make up the vibrant Chicago community.
The shirt is hand woven and the skirt is stitched, especially from like a specialty from where my father is from Salcaja in Guatemala. It means a lot because, you know, I've lived in Chicago my whole life, but I do have a lot of family and I do have a lot of friends back in Guate. So to be able to like kind of represent them and carry them here in like the United States is something that's special for me. It's cool to be able to experience things that, you know, maybe I haven't seen before. And I really love being able to like see things from other cultures, and I think it's really cool. I definitely feel like Chicago is very like underrated. Like you can meet anyone from anywhere over here. Reporting from Chicago, Sharon in NTD News.
Today's Black Friday shoppers and retailers are getting ready for a shopping bonanza. Analysts predict a solid holiday shopping season, but perhaps not as robust as last year's. Many shoppers are under pressure from overall high prices despite the easing of inflation. But in a positive sign, online sales were up 4% for the first half of the Thanksgiving holiday. That's compared to a 2% rise last year. That's a fresh sign shoppers are lapping up steep discounts from retailers. Retailers have been rolling out bolder discounts early. They're also bulking up their holiday deals to capture the attention of more frugal shoppers this year. And still, the National Retail Federation says a record 183 million people are planning to shop in-store and online between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday this year.
That's right, and we do have our own Don Ma at the Macy's standing. Don, what do you see there? And the burning question, what are some of the latest Black Friday deals?
Hey guys, as you can see, I'm out here in the heart of New York City, standing right in front of the Macy's department store right now. And as you can see, not a whole lot of lines outside, but on the inside, though, it's a whole different story. I see a lot of people walking around browsing for items inside, shopping and coming out with bags. So, you know, it's not busy outside, but inside it's a little bit busy there. So I want to give you guys some tips as to where you can find the best deals and some tips on that. Starting off with, you know, you have to know where to go. You got to know where the deals are. Do a little bit of research before leaving the house. 30 minutes can go a long way here, but I can point you in the right direction. So according to the Wallet Hub website, the top 3 places to shop this Black Friday, number 1, JCPenney, number 2 is Belk, and number 3, Macy's right here. So Macy's top 3 places to shop, an average of 57% discount according to the Wallet Hub website. Let me also give you the worst place to shop according to the website. It's Costco's, actually. So, you know, as Macy's tries to impress shoppers over here, you can find apparel, up to 75% discounts on items according to some reports. That's appliances as well. But investors, on the other hand, are not as quite impressed. Macy's stock down 20% this year. The previous quarter, it reported sales dropping 2.4%. So that's the second quarter. We're still waiting on the third quarter results, but second quarter compared to the previous quarter is down 2.4%. So it's got to do something different here to impress investors. It has a turnaround plan, but, you know, we'll have to see. It's planning to close hundreds of stores due to this plan.
Well, Don, thanks for that update. And it's good to hear that the brick and mortar stores are holding strong because that Cyber Monday is coming up. They got a lot of juicy deals online. Thanks, Don. And those Amazon workers are planning a worldwide strike during one of the company's biggest weekends, Black Friday to Cyber Monday. The strike is called Make Amazon Pay and is organized by UNI Global Union and Progressive International. The strike seeks to hold Amazon accountable for what the organizers call environmental degradation and threats to democracy. Amazon said in a statement that the group is intentionally misleading and continues to promote a false narrative The union says this will be their 5th year protesting, and thousands of demonstrators in more than 20 countries are planning to take part.
When we come back, the Notre Dame Cathedral is set to reopen after the devastating 2019 fire. Over 5 years, archaeologists and restorers have uncovered amazing details about its design. NTD's David Vives takes us to a Paris museum playing a key role in the restoration when we come back.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
بیست و سه سال 16 سال عمري ما هفت
اما داعش کردیان برانبر خشک و دایکان یزدی ما کاری که دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و موافقانی مرو و انسانیت او بارو خی که است های به تایبت عراق و سوریه بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
مریم بو او هفت روز من بو و داعش از کرد تامبوم كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بهار في ذا نبو باوان رحمنا ودمنا سؤالا من خادران نزل باوان نفستم بس نا وانا قوبس ناش بجوش باش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زارود وان همو جيبر تي حملي زارود الدم واسسي وان همو جيبر
وحشیگریه که توا عیاره ظلمی که یک جار زور گوره لما افراد نکره و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده که همانه روزانه دست فروشیده
اليوم التوزيع كلنا نصيب.
Imagine being a child, you know, having a child mentality, and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
Thanks for staying with us. This Thanksgiving, there is no better time than now to express gratitude and count your blessings.
NTD's Sam Wong was out in D.C. to find out what people are most grateful for.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Just a dinner at my family's house.
We're seeing all the sights around the U.S.
Sightseeing. Washington, D.C., yeah, seeing all the sights that they've got to offer here.
What's your favorite part of the trip so far?
Being with my wife.
Coming to D.C. for the beginning of the week and then going back and seeing the rest of our family in Atlanta for the rest of the week. We came to D.C. to see who?
Grandy and Lovey, that's our grandparent.
We're here to see my daughter and her husband and the grandbaby, and my daughters are coming down from Brooklyn.
Well, my Thanksgiving tradition, I usually try to travel to see friends or family during this time. I live in Chicago.
I'll be with family and enjoying, and then just a few other things, seeing some more of the city.
He's in 5th grade, and so 5th grade they study U.S. history, and so we wanted to bring him here so that he could really absorb the history of our great nation.
And what are you most thankful for this Thanksgiving?
My family. Seeing my family, spending time with my family, and just having a week off from work.
Freedom.
That's a good question. I'm most thankful for my family, that everyone's in good health. I'm able to travel to see them this year.
All in all, it's been a good year for all of my friends and all of my family. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm just thankful for my family and good health.
The same. Family, great health, just great to be living.
Grateful for family and our granddaughter.
My breast cancer didn't return. I'll take it.
Thank you for our health and hopefully better health.
Being alive, I've gone through some things and I'm healthy and thank God for that.
I'm thankful to God 365 days a year, 24/7.
And a Thanksgiving surprise brightened the day for a 20-year-old Marine recruit recovering from a serious spinal injury.
Detroit Lions star Aiden Hutchinson, on crutches due to his own injury, showed up unannounced at Jacob Reinhardt's Michigan home. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on the heartwarming story.
Jacob Reinhardt sustained a spinal cord injury from the C2 to the C7 vertebrae in boot camp. He was paralyzed from the neck down in the beginning. Reinhardt now has the use of his arms and legs, but can't feel them. Detroit Lions star pass rusher Aiden Hutchinson heard what happened and wanted to brighten up the young man's day.
I'm sitting here and Aiden Hutchinson walks in the door and I about dropped dead.
Hutchinson surprised the family with tickets to the Lions' Thanksgiving Day game against the Bears.
You guys are going to the Thanksgiving game. We got a few tickets for you guys.
Bro, what?
So that it's going to be an absolute blast.
Hutchinson said it was amazing to be able to surprise the family with the tickets.
This incredible opportunity for me to be able to surprise this wonderful family with tickets to the Thanksgiving game, and it's all because of their son that persevered through an incredible amount of adversity, and is also while he was in the military.
Reinhardt says recovery has been a journey.
A couple months after, still in the hospital, still trying to just get better. A couple months later, started to see improvements, and now I'm finally starting to really get there.
It all started when Reinhardt's stepmom, Audrey Cox, wrote a letter to the team describing her stepson's journey to recovery. Not only did the Lions supply him with tickets to the annual holiday game, Reinhardt also received a number 14 Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey and was delighted to jump on a FaceTime call with the star wide receiver.
Hey, yo! What up, dog?
St. Brown promised to do an end zone celebration in Reinhardt's honor if he scores a touchdown against the Bears. The surprise Hutchinson visit, which Audrey Cox was in on, was orchestrated by Verizon. Hutchinson won't be playing on Thursday due to a broken leg he suffered in a game last month, hence the crutches. Reinhardt said meeting Hutchinson was the coolest thing that's happened to him. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
What a great story. And we're going over to France. The iconic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is back.
A devastating fire destroyed the cathedral 5 years ago, but it is now set to reopen next week.
Today, the world is getting its first glimpse inside the new-look Notre Dame Cathedral. French President Emmanuel Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron visited the site in the heart of Paris for the final time before its reopening. And during the 5 years of Notre Dame restoration work, construction workers made surprising discoveries about the cathedral.
And one of these is that many statues were in fact full of color.
Right, and 1 week before Notre Dame's reopening to the public, an exhibition opened at Paris Middle Age Museum.
NTD's international correspondent David Verbes reports from Paris.
The Cluny Museum in Paris, dedicated to the Middle Ages, is a place where some of the cathedral sculptures were restored. After the Notre Dame fire in 2019, the museum received pieces of smashed sculpture. Restorers then began a meticulous process of piecing the fragments together like solving a puzzle to determine their original forms and placements. The exhibition Making Stone Speak showcases the work and findings of the cathedral's restorers. One remarkable discovery was a decorated wall buried in the central of the cathedral. When the cathedral. When the spire collapsed, it opened a vault underneath the cathedral, revealing this wall.
We see here elements found on the structure of the jubé that used to separate the priest from worshippers. All those roses, beautiful designed plants, scenes that tell the story of Christ's passion until he resurrected.
Bernie notes that one of the most astonishing findings was the realization that many parts of the cathedral were once vibrantly colored.
Here we see two angels on either side, blowing trumpets and raising the dead. And here we see blue on the angel, or red or green on these robes. And these traces of color are sufficient for the restorers to have been able to reconstitute the entire polychromy of the statues.
Many statues have been recreated for the cathedral, but the original fragments of the Gallery of Kings are preserved in the museum. These statues too were once vividly painted, though time and weather caused the gold ornaments and colors to fade. While the discovery is fascinating, Bernie says it's not entirely surprising, since many medieval monuments and statues were painted.
We used pigments that were rare as gold or lapis lazuli, which comes from Afghanistan, is ground and used to make overseas blue an unparalleled brilliant blue.
Bernie explains that these expensive pigments symbolize a significant commitment by the French monarchy at the time.
The whole point during the Middle Ages was to allow Christians to connect and bond with the statues presented before them. The statues reflected the divine, which has come down to earth and incarnated in stone. And so it's all the more important to see these colors, to realize that what's important is to follow their path.
The Notre Dame Cathedral will reopen to the public on December 7th. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
One of the fascinating pieces in connection with all this is the rood screen, which allowed the priests to teach to the masses and preach, but also gave them privacy during their 8 hours.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to think about how all of these things, I mean, they also discovered, I think, 2 coffins with one, I think, high priest and one unknown man. And all of these things they discovered because of, you know, this disaster. It's interesting to think about that. They would have never found it probably if this disaster didn't happen.
Something good coming of it, of course. Yeah, and they had to get permission to dig deeper.
Yes, of course. It's probably a very, it's
sensitive.
Sensitive and careful.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're going to go back to Thanksgiving for you.
Yes, circling back, running off those holiday calories with a turkey trot, an annual tradition for many families.
This year's race in Washington, D.C. saw a massive turnout. Despite the rainy skies, spirits stayed high. NTD's Melina Wisecup has the story.
A rainy Thanksgiving in Washington, D.C. didn't stop these turkey trotters from enjoying another year of Thanksgiving tradition.
You know, this is much nicer weather than Houston, the humid, like 90 degrees.
The paint was a little slippery, but other than that, the paint is kind of nice to cool you off. You know, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I make a special trip back from England for it most years, and yeah, it's just nice to be surrounded by a bunch of people that are happy and, you know, take a break from everything else.
8,000 racers flooded the nation's capital, bringing festivity to Pennsylvania Avenue.
I had a couple kids take me down early. I got a couple names. I'll be back for you, Danny. Coming for you next year.
Plus, soaking in that much-needed friend and family time.
I mean, I do the turkey trot every year, so I thought it would be fun to run it with my cross-country friends.
We're going back to our parents' house to have a big dinner all together.
And for others, the fun is a chance to win. 17-year-old Zachary from Texas was the youngest among the top finishers, clocking in under 17 minutes at 16:39.
And just the first stretch, seeing the Capitol, it's just amazing. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that last turn, I peeked back and I saw nobody over my shoulder, so I knew I had it. I was trying to kick it in the last maybe like 50 meters just to look strong, but I'm still coming off an injury, so I'm very happy that this is what I could run.
Others find joy in the mission behind the race. The organization hosting this turkey trot is called SOME. It's the 23rd year, raising money to break the cycle of homelessness and poverty.
A lot of us just get stuck in the middle of the day, just doing our day-to-day work or careers here. You kind of forget the bigger picture. And there's a lot of us out there who are very fortunate to do things like this. You know, like we have service members across the world who aren't with their families today. So being able to give back to the local food banks here, and at the same time, you know, remember those who can't be with their families today, just keeps things in perspective.
And at this race, children get their finishers' rewards too. Swords, bows and arrows, and a new style to show off at their family's Thanksgiving mealtime. It's a day to show gratitude, a practice that one dad says he makes routine for his family.
Every day, at least 3 things that we're grateful for.
Happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving!
Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
Running to slow down and take a look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Some gratitude.
That is really interesting. And I mean, it's just great. You do 2 things. You get healthy and you give back to the community.
Yes, and not to mention, it's such a fun thing to look at. I don't know if you saw the hat with the turkey holding on really tightly to this person's head. It's probably getting windy up there.
It's great costumes.
I know. All right, on that note, let's wrap up our show right here, but be sure to stay tuned for NTD News Today. That starts at 12 p.m. Eastern Time.
And for round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app.
Also, don't forget to follow us on X at NTD Good Morning. Thank you so much for watching now. I'm Evelyn Lee.
And I'm Kevin Hogan. Have a nice weekend.
Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024, the Audien Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-433-6359 or go to AudienHearing.com to get your pair of Audien hearing aids starting at just $189.
Funny expression. There's a little scar right below his neck. The artist, on a trip to somewhere in South America, he met this kid who told him a story about himself. The technique is really good. As you'll see, like in the foreground, there's water on his face. The texture is so realistic, but then sort of in the back, you have these